fascinating, right? Like there was obviously some kind of it was
There was
obviously
something special about this
there,
boy.
Either he was just something brilliant, or Elizabeth just needed someone like that, or her attachment to him was just something strange. But I mean, he's back in the court.
Because most people never come back from stuff like that. Even like I've read and heard of, you know, situations where the crime was significantly less serious, and they still either got put in prison for life, or they were killed, or they were exiled, or, you know, he impregnated a lady in waiting.
Right.
And he came back from that. That's, come on. There's got to be something golden about this boy, you know?
I mean, there was definitely something. I don't know. It is kind of fascinating to actually, jokes aside, wonder what the real reasons were for Elizabeth making that decision. Was it emotional? Was it strategic? What was going on there?
So we don't know. We will never know.
Yeah.
But she awarded him a royal charter to explore the new world of the Americas.
Yeah,
and allowed him to organize.
She gave him a royal patent for Virginia, which is quite the
which
lush
was named
land.
after her.
Yeah.
It was named after her being the Virgin Queen and all that.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The Virgin Queen. So it says, it goes on to say that these colonial experiments were an unmitigated disaster, resulting in the lost colony of Roanoke. Did not dissuade Raleigh and his backers from believing that fortunes lay in the Americas. So again, this dude, he gets out of prison. He gets even more favor, right? The queen gives him a royal charter to go explore the new world.
And set up a colony. Yeah.
And set up a colony, which, I mean, as much as I try to keep it light, I cannot gloss over what that must have meant, because again, whenever these people just say in quick sentences, oh, they went to set up a colony, it's not like there was just land there and it was just waiting there for them. It's like, oh, welcome, royal masters. No, they had to kill people and seize land and do all kinds of brutish things, right?
Yep.
And that's what we're talking about. And this dude was awarded that charter, and they set up Virginia, right? So again, this dude was put in charge of empire expansion, right?
Yep.
Empire expansion project
in the new world.
Walter Raleigh, exactly. Yep. In the new world, right? Because it's new, of course. It couldn't have existed before you found it, right?
Well,
it's new, right?
The only perspective that matters
is British people's perspective at this point in time.
At that point in time. It's only the English. Although I do remember I just remembered one of my favorite quotes from him, that so Walter Raleigh really hated the Spanish, apparently, like despised them. And
that's gonna get him ultimately wait for it.
Oh my god. He says, and I quote, "If it wasn't for the riches of the Americas, the Spanish monarchy would be kings of figs and oranges." Oof. 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 Oof.
Slanderous.
I know. Oof.
Oof. I'm sure that was being considered quite the insult at the time. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, by the Spanish, who understood English perfectly.
What did he say about this, Eduardo? So he was convinced that El Dorado, the legendary city of gold, was to be found in northern South America, and made a reconnaissance trip to Guyana in 1595.
And I'd like to jump in a little bit there and flesh that out. So first time he learned about this was when his privateers, which is basically his like soldiers who were sailing around on the Atlantic, captured a returning conquistador named, as we mentioned earlier, Don Pedro Sarmiento de Gamboa.
Don Pedro Sarmiento de Gamboa, at your service.
Thank you. And he had spent 30 years in the New World, and from him he heard about El Dorado.
I know you want to kill, I know you're bloodthirsty, but will you wait a second? Why, I, Don Pedro Sarmiento de Gamboa, tell you of riches beyond your wildest dreams.
Exactly.
Perhaps, my friend.
Exactly.
Perhaps, my friend, when I am done, you will like to cooperate and collaborate and not, in fact, behead me.
Behead me. Yeah, and then he tells him about another dude who he's like, and the person you need to talk to is Don Antonio de Brio. Sir Walter Raleigh now goes to the Guyana Highlands, and on the way decides to raid the village where he knows that Berrio is at to have, and I quote, to have a talk with him.
Now, I'm sorry about the unpleasantness outside. I just needed to get your attention somehow.
I was just hoping we could have a conversation.
A private chat.
Man to Spaniard.
Right, because he really did hate the Spaniards, right?
So
he must have considered them not men.
Man to Spaniard.
That's horrible.
And that's where he got most of information and then started going up the crazy Orinoco River.
Now, do you think that they purposely fed him myths and lies, knowing that he would spend the rest of his days looking for this stuff because they wanted to punish him for, number one, capturing their ship, number two, raiding their village? Do you think they told him everything they did in good faith, or they were like, if I am to go down for this, my friend, you will go down too. Maybe not today, but you will be beheaded in due time.
I think it was a mix. So I think because the the big thing is, and they say this, is that Sir Walter Raleigh knew about the Aztec and Incan empires that the Spaniards had raided and looted, and the wealth which had turned Spain into a global power. And so it was not unimaginable that there was a third such entity in a place as large as South America. So to him, it was not that surprising.
So it wouldn't have been difficult to, feed him lies because,
and I think,
he wanted to believe this stuff already,
and in fact, the word El Dorado was actually given by Berrio. So the name El Dorado came from Berrio. Before that, everyone else was calling this place Manoa, which is what Walter Raleigh used to call it. And the thing that I think is that the Spaniards also believed that there was such a place. They also were looking for it. But I think he was the one who was obsessed with it. He was the one who thought that this was this was going to secure his place in history.
It was going to be his thing. It was going to be his, it was going to be his contribution to science and to the queen and to empire and to.
I wonder how much of it goes back to his childhood, right? At this point, it's the Catholic world that's getting rich and powerful. His Protestant world, which has kept him safe, is not. And now he's trying to find a way. And is the answer in the new world? So
and to be the guy who brings that back, come on, you're gonna be even more famous than the queen at that point, right? So he had, lots of, illusions of grandeur going for him. He really, really wanted this, right? And you will find out just how much he wanted this, right?
It also sounded like it was his only thing left. Because if you look at it, he keeps getting sent back to the New World. It seems like very obvious they didn't want him in England. So he had to somehow find something that he did that was so good that he could find his place again back home.
He wanted to be established, right? He, there you go. Yeah. So, Don Berrio, probably said something like, hey, I know you tried to slit my throat, but if you will calm down for a second, I will tell you about El Dorado, right?
Hold on a second, my friend.
My friend, are we not all friends here? Come on. First, let me tell you a story, then, if you please, if you still are in a bit of an angry mood, you can, of course, proceed. But first, Right? And so he told him this story about El Dorado, and the rest, as they say, is history, because this dude spends pretty much the rest of his life trying to find it. And therein lies the harebrained scheme. With very little data or evidence to support this man, Sir Walter Raleigh, from all accounts, a very smart individual, right?
Absolutely.
Highly educated,
Absolutely.
right? Very experienced in court and in battle, was so taken by this that he essentially dedicated the rest of his free years looking for El Dorado, and it cost him a heck of a lot, right? So so this marks, he starts to look for this stuff. He doesn't find much. Ultimately, he has to return to England, and
his favorite queen is gone.
Exactly. The climate had changed, and enter King James I.
He was against having escalating tensions with the Spanish, and he was
with the Spanish, right?
And building
he was trying to
with them.
Exactly. And guess who had offended the Spanish a lot? Was a certain dude by the name of Sir Walter Raleigh.
And that's how he ends up in his second time in the Tower of London.
Yeah, so hold on. So first he comes back, right? Okay. And he had, of course, there had been a lot of tension. Him, he was going to the New World. He was going to come back with all these riches. He was going to find El Dorado. He does not come back with any of that. Yeah. So people start to say, hey, what have you done? Blah, blah, blah. There's nothing to show for it. People were upset with him.
Right.
And now King James is new on the throne. So he's still, that period where you're just a new king and you're trying to figure out who you... you're just Saturday, right?
That's what I went through.
When you were... Exactly. Yeah. When you were just a new king and you were trying to figure out who your friends were.
Absolutely.
And now you're seasoned. Last Saturday, you were still trying to figure this out.
Last Saturday
right?
was a struggle.
Exactly.
It's true. Yeah.
Exactly. So he was still trying to find out who his friends were, new court, all that stuff. And it was easy to sort of,
scapegoat.
Set people up. Exactly, to set people up. So there was this scheme that was being hatched, and this was a lie. It's been proven to be a lie, but there was a rumor that was started, and it said that Sir Walter was involved in a scheme to overthrow King James, right? And so, again, you come back with nothing. There's a rumor about you saying you're trying to overthrow me. Yeah, you're going to the Tower of London, and you're getting the death sentence. It's not even... case closed, right?
Yeah, right.
Whether it's true or not, I'm not going to take that chance. I just got here. I'm still polishing the crown. It's not even sitting on my head properly yet. I'm not letting you jeopardize any of this for me. So, in you go, right? So that's
how he ended up. Okay.
Yeah. So again, that's the second time he was put in the Tower of London. And really sad because honestly, dude had nothing to do with any of this, right? He was completely innocent here. From all accounts, he had absolutely no knowledge of this. No account corroborates this rumor, right? So unfortunately for him, he was put in there. But Golden Boy, he wasn't there for the rest of his life.
And that's when he wrote his History of the World, I think.
Right. And so because people kept making fun of him, oh, you didn't find this thing. So he decided to write an overblown story of El Dorado and the riches that were there. And he claimed to have seen things which he hadn't seen and had experiences that he hadn't had. He made this such a big deal that he was in time able to convince King James to let him go out once more.
Right. And that's when he takes his son, Walter.
And that's when he takes his son. He takes his son with him. Yeah. And spoiler, he's going to regret that. And so that was how, he was able to set out once again. And
he takes one of his really old colleagues and friends, Kemys, with him. And I believe once they got to the New World, Sir Walter falls sick. And the rules.
So he had to stay on the ship, right? He couldn't go on shore, right? He couldn't go further in. So he had to stay on. And then this Chemis guy was responsible for then taking charge and leading the guys in to sort of, start the exploration, right? Because they'd come all this way. They were not just going to waste valuable time.